Now, you might remember like a week or two ago, I made a video about giving up coffee. Now, that was really difficult to give up, more because of the ritual. It kind of gets you energized at the start of the day. And honestly, it's one of those habits that's really hard to break. But you know what else is a habit that's really difficult to break? Giving up alcohol. Yeah, this is not the first time I've done this. This is my maybe fourth attempt in my adult life at really trying to get rid of alcohol. It's been about 3 weeks since I've had my last drink. Now, it might not sound like a lot to you, but from someone who's been drinking like 3 to 5 times a week, sometimes even more depending on the week, never really getting drunk, but just noticing that it was becoming more of a habit, more of a ritual, just like coffee, where it was like every night I would have maybe one, two, three, sometimes four drinks. It might be a glass of wine or two or three or four beers. And it was getting to the point where it was getting really stupid, not just in terms of what it does to your cognitive abilities later on in life with all the brain cells dying from alcohol abuse, but also from a financial standpoint. To be honest, the health thing, yes, of course, alcohol is bad for your health and everything else like that, but it wasn't even necessarily the health thing. It was more the financial aspect that really got me scratching my head and thinking to myself, why should I continue this right now? Now, does this mean that I'm going to give up alcohol for life? I don't know. But as of right now, I have no interest at all in partaking in alcohol in the slightest. You know, and and one of the reasons why I thought about this was I want to go out and enjoy as much time as I can with my family, with my wife and my kid. And as he gets older, I want to go to restaurants, go out to nice brunches with him, maybe nice lunches and stuff like that. And when you go out to these, brunches, dinners, whatever you want to call it, you are forced with that awkward conversation at the beginning with the waiter. And this is how a lot of businesses make the majority of their money. They don't make it a lot on food. They make money on food, but mostly it's on alcohol. That's how a lot of these businesses make money, and I get that. And it sucks being a small business owner or someone who owns a restaurant because a lot of it is made up on alcohol, and there is a lot more people like me who are actually just waking up and saying no to alcohol. But there's that awkward conversation, obviously, in the beginning. Would you, let's start you guys off with some drinks, and you have to have that weird kind of, water's fine, which that they don't want to hear. Like, that they want you to say, I'll have a pint of Stella or something like that. And it's like, okay, so that's like an extra $10 on your bill, plus that adds the potential tip that they're getting at the end, right? Because sometimes you can spend more on drinks than you are going to spend on food. And that actually happens quite a lot with how expensive drinks are. You're looking at maybe a dinner or a lunch. It's like $20, $25, which is, relatively expensive, but that's kind of the norm now. And then on top of that, let's say if you have two drinks, those two drinks could equal the freaking bill of your food. And they know this. This is why sometimes they'll start you off with drinks and then they'll wait around and they won't ask you what you want to eat yet, because maybe you'll finish that drink. And then they come again and say, oh, okay, would you like to order your food now? And maybe another drink on that. Nice. And they get that extra boost in their tip. But it's not just about the servers getting tips. It's obviously the restaurant owners. They want to increase the profitability of their business, which is understandable. But unfortunately, that comes at a cost to people like me who are just realizing that we don't have the money. Like, I don't have the means to do that anymore. I work for myself right now, and every paycheck is completely different, right? As a YouTuber, and I have multiple channels, if I just had this channel, there's no way I'd be able to make ends meet. But every single month is completely different. You don't know how much you're going to make. You have no idea what your ad revenue is going to be. You don't know if you're going to get any more channel members or anything else like that, or super thanks or super chats in the comment section, and those really do help as someone who is self-employed and who does this full time while raising a child at home. It's very, very challenging, and unfortunately, alcohol is just a luxury that I just can't afford. Not at this time in my life, and I'm sure my health, my body will thank me later that I am going through this spell, and it may last for the rest of my life. It's possible. Or maybe once I get to the age where I'm like wanting to retire or become more reclusive and just spend more time with my family, then maybe I'll have a drink or two from time to time. Maybe. But when I have a lot of responsibilities on my plate, it just doesn't make any feasible sense for me to continue drinking alcohol. And you know what else is interesting? I came to this realization. I wasn't even really trying to get rid of alcohol. It was just one of those things I had a really bad case of food poisoning. And you don't want to even think about alcohol the first 2 days after that, right? And then after a while, I was like, you know what? Let's try this. Let's do this. Let's get rid of alcohol. A few days ago, a friend of mine texted me back in Toronto that they're in the hospital with alcohol withdrawal. And this isn't the first time this has happened. Right when I was considering and going through it, a dry spell of alcohol, right when I was considering that, I get a text message from my friend saying that. And he's about the same age as me, so he's not really even that old. He's in his 30s as well. He's in his late 30s. And if he's already having symptoms like this, and this is someone who we never used to think that he had issues with alcohol, but he would hide alcohol. He would, we'd be going out to a bar or something like that, and we're having a drink or two at home first, and then you go to the washroom. It's one of those things you'd find empty Mickey bottles everywhere in the house, and you're wondering where, when are they drinking these? And it's sneakily drink. That's when you have a real problem, when you're sneaking out and you're sneaking Mickeys or shots here and there. And I just never want to get to that place, and thank God I'm more grounded right now in life that I don't feel like those are temptations that are really going to lure me in anymore. I'm becoming more strong-willed right now, and I think having a son really does kind of bring that home, because you kind of have to be strong for your kids, not just for your wife, but for your kids, because you want them to grow up and see someone who's not all out of it, someone who has their mind together, and they're not dependent on things like alcohol to get through the day, and coffee. Anyways, just a bit of a ramble, just my thoughts and just sharing what I've been experiencing as someone who has gotten rid of alcohol. One last thing I will add is the amount of sugar content that your body takes on from drinking lots of alcohol. Your body turns into sugar. You get these crazy sugar cravings for the first few weeks afterwards. And for the first few days, I was eating a lot of donuts and stuff. My body probably is you gotta up the sugar in your body. But right now, I'm slowly weaning off the sugar. So hopefully I'm at a nice baseline in a few weeks. And maybe I'll do another follow-up video and let you know how this journey is going. Anyways, guys, I hope you learned something from today's video. Leave your thoughts about the subject down below in the comments section. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.